as doctors, it might be diagnosing and treating different diseases. What is the stance in today's debate? We firmly believe that using artificial intelligence to outsource essential skills rips mankind of what essentially makes us human. My dear friends, our cerebral cortex, one of the most evolved structures on the planet today, by the way, it took millions of years for us to achieve that. We are fine with using AI to streamline productivity and to enhance tasks. But to replace the very generation of ideas, to replace the concept of what makes us, that is something that we as humankind, we as the most dominant species on the planet today should say no to. Why is it intrinsically and morally incorrect to outsource essential skills to AI? By doing so, we are severely underestimating our capability. It is equivalent to performing modern lobotomy on us. We're inherently transferring our cognition, which took us years to gain, to a system that we created over the last decade or so. It took years of education and preparation for these professionals to develop these skills. And today, we are going to transfer that. So I vehemently stand against that and arrest my case. Thank you.
Alright, I'll start. Okay. The idea that outsourcing essential skills to AI threatens human development sounds logical, but it is fundamentally flawed. I'm James Ravichan, representing the opposition, because history tells us one simple truth. Every major technological shift has been feared, and every single one has ultimately enhanced humankind. Let us take the example of calculators. People said that we would lose all ability of math. With computers, oh my gosh, thinking is going to decline. The humankind is going to end. But now, we use these tools universally, not because we understand every detail of how they work, but because they expand what we do. Outsourcing does not make us lose anything. In fact, it makes us gain more. We are in the beginning of a marvelous technological evolution, which is accessible. AI is one of the best examples for downward stream of knowledge in recent years. To reject it, it's inherently classist. Now, there is a theory known as the cognitive overload theory. That is, by doing repetitive mechanical tasks, our human brains basically atrophy. And who are subjected to these tasks? The working class. And you know what? By using AI, we not only free them from this monotonous life, we free their mental space for analysis, for creativity, for problem solving. And speaking more on accessibility, what are essential skills? They are not fixed. They are based on context. Maybe in this classroom, essential skills mean solving equations. But in Gaza, in Palestine, what is an essential skill? It is to build tents, to make shelter, to make food out of the scraps they have. And no human knows all of those things automatically to make use of things that they have. If a tool can teach you how to survive in a situation where you otherwise couldn't, that is not weakening humanity. That is actually empowering it. A step-by-step guide to learn how to survive, that is empowerment, that is development. AI is not restricting development, it is actually democratizing it. This is true equity. So fellow members of the House, let us not stick to the old notions of inefficiency with the false belief that doing everything manually is only progress. It is time for revolution. It is time for democracy to actually reach knowledge. So it's time for humans and us to live. Thank you.
So when I got less marks, which happens a lot nowadays, my mom told it's because of this damn phone. When I'm here about to talk about this damn phone, specifically something that you find in it, that is artificial intelligence. And I'm here for the motion that outsourcing essential skills to AI threatens long-term human development. Now, one of the main facts that I want to start with is that it fosters cognitive atrophy, which my opposition speaker earlier told. Now, a recent MIT Media Lab study, which happened in 2025, It showed that excessive reliance on AI-driven solutions contributes to a cognitive atrophy. And there were 666 subjects which were heavy users of large language models or LLMs, which is the common model of AI. Now, cognitive atrophy is the shrinking of critical thinking abilities, which is how many of us have solved world problems. Now, other few points which I want to say is, AI does offer immediate productivity gains. I'm not denying that. However, over-reliance creates a bypassing effect where individuals tend to skip that monotonous work, which is so important in learning, so important in knowing how to create advanced solutions. And those mental processes, as I said, are required for deep understanding and innovation. This has caused something that doctors have termed as digital amnesia, where they do read about something online, but later forget it, but do know where to find it. Now, this also causes a critical thinking gap, and a girlish study also shows that there's a strong negative correlation between AI usage and critical thinking areas. Now, the effort of thinking was traded for passive prompting, where people would just go on to ChatGPT, Gemini, type of something, and the solution will come to them, and there's no thinking involved there. Now, there was a historic double strike in Hollywood of 148 days where writers, over 11,500 writers, and they were writers of the Screen Actors Guild American Federation, where they had three major concerns. One was the grunt work was replaced, and there was unmoral outsourcing, where using deepfakes, people were made to act in scenes which they weren't even informed before. So the question then comes to whether or not AI actually helping us or completely removing our cognitive thinking and essential qualities. Thank you.
So I should just state the fact again that you are not allowed to rebut your opponent's statements, write new open statements, because that is just fun. Yeah. That learn negative points in the sentence. Whoa.
If outsourcing essential skills truly threaten the human development, then the term progress itself would be something dangerous to mankind. A very good afternoon to one and all present here. Today, I stand here speaking against the notion that states that AI, when essential skills are being outsourced by AI, it causes human development regression. That is so not true. AI isn't the real issue. It's how we think. For example, I would like to illustrate the whole thing with a very good example. A little boy doing his homework. He has a really difficult math problem in front of him, and he doesn't know how to get it done. He uses AI for help. It generates a solution. If he straight away copies that into his notebook, it does cause developmental regression. He's not using his brain. He's not thinking. It's a whole waste of time. But if he uses his brain, understands what's going on, analyzes it, gives it prompts to it, understands it, notes it down, he's solving the problem quicker. In a 2-hour span where he himself would have to think about everything, he can solve 5 to 6 questions, and that would help him. And overall, in the long term, over years and years of hard work, this would actually cause human development and not regression. I would also like to say that AI does not, for example, there are people who use AI for draft ideas, like say writers and all these craftspersons, all of these artists, they use AI for ideas, but the originality comes from their perspective, from their voice, from their intent. For example, today's opening speech was used by AI, but everybody has their own ideas to it, their own perspective to it, and that's what makes all the speeches different. But inherently, I know for a fact that all of us did use AI at some point. I would like to give some more examples. We don't memorize entire libraries anymore. We use search tools. We don't navigate stars. We use GPS. And pilots rely on autopilot systems, yet their role becomes more critical in complex and emergency situations. Which means we're not relying completely on AI, but we're using it for the simpler skills. And we're using our mind and our thinking ability, developing it for the time that we need it most. The critical time where we use it, where we concentrate all our ideas and put it all to use. And this does not cause regression, it causes human development. Avoiding AI may feel like we're protecting our abilities. We are actually doing is that we're falling behind. Because whatever we do now, AI is not going to erase or be eradicated from this world. It's going to exist. So what we can do is learn to work with it and use our brain for it, with it, and grow with it.
Your name?
My Jenny.
We create. That's what differentiated us from the mammoths in prehistoric ages, and that's what differentiates us now from other animals. We create. That's what makes us human. But when we are faced with something, when we want to create something, we face a blank page. And now we refer to AI to solve the solution. But AI doesn't create. It just averages. My name is Kavin, and I'm speaking in the favor of the fact that using AI is detrimental to human development. So humans, we produce creative ideas, but AI just produces volume. AI just scans over billions of ideas and then spits out the statistical average. It just spits out probability, where it's just good enough art. Concepts are similar, and concepts are grouped due to AI, and we just end up with something which is beige, or we just end up with a pool of information which is what you would call vanilla or average. AI models, they eliminate the lowest common denominator by creating an average. And AI seeks our pool of inspiration. Because when we refer to AI refers to the internet. And the internet is something which is easily influenced. I could create an account where I can state that creating, like making cake involves using lead poison. And AI would believe that because AI cannot differentiate between that. AI is trained on data, and data is provided by us. And AI uses preference. It uses step-by-step influence, and it just mimics what is provided already on the internet. Using AI is like trapping yourself in a hall of mirrors, and these mirrors are created by the masses. Thank you.
The House believes that outsourcing essential skills to AI threatens long-term human development. I'm Neha Sunil, and I'm against this. My first proposition being, outsourcing, the term itself, is enormous dishonest work in my opinion, because it implies abdication, as in you hand something away and you lose it forever. I'll take an example. A cardiologist who uses an ECG machine, we don't say that she's outsourced her clinical judgment, right? So similarly, tools like AI, they're just used to extend human agency, they don't replace it. My second proposition being, cognitive science is settled. What drives skill atrophy is disuse and not tool use. I'll take another example. A medical student who uses AI for differential diagnosis isn't losing her clinical reasoning. She is forced to argue, verify, and override AI output, which is harder cognitive work and not easier. The brain does not sit idle when these tools arrive. It relocates to higher ground. And one cannot blame AI for laziness. It's like blaming roads for obesity. My third proposition. The proposition cannot define essential. Like Socrates, right? In Plato's Phaedrus argued that writing would destroy memory and wisdom. He would be partially right about memory, but catastrophically wrong about wisdom. Why? Because writing gave us literature, it gave us law, it gave us philosophy, all essential to civilization. Another example, Gutenberg's printing press was seen as a threat to scholarly rigor. Everyone thought that if everyone could read, surely the quality of thought would decline. What happened? Quite the opposite. Reformation, scientific revolution, all downstream of democratized work. Well, the pattern is identical. New cognitive tool arrives, the establishment declares human development threatened, and within a generation it becomes indispensable to human flourishing. We're at the same moment with AI. And my most important point, AI is seen as a threat to human development. That is a very dangerous misdirection. You know what actually is? Poverty that holds back human potential. Educational systems that prioritize rote memorization over critical thinking. Mental health crises. I close with this statement. Motion assumes that human potential is a finite job. Every job of AI that we use is a job that we lose forever. We argue that it is fire and AI is oxygen. You do not protect fire by removing oxygen. You protect it by teaching people to burn brighter. Thank you.
I'll go on now about the tech elements of AI. But my fellow speakers have already told what the tech benefits could be, and that summarizes it. So yeah, I would just like to stress upon the fact that outsourcing is going to be detrimental to me and you. So why does it matter to us right now? So the reason matters is that outsourcing, you just give all the blunt tasks to a machine and you lose the intuitive part that makes you, I don't know, human. So this intuitive comes with repetition. When you give these blunt tasks to AI, so you'll be like, okay, it's doing the task and I'm doing what requires me to think. But then what's it going to have a brain with? So now, we giving the blunt task now, over time you just develop into something big. I do not know how to convey my feelings to other people. And that is that what it makes us inherently human. So I would like to conclude by saying that AI is not just going to be detrimental to our development, but it would also set us back decades or worse centuries. But or worse, we lose what makes us inherently human.
So, a very good evening to the house. So, this is Kalanidhi and I am going to be speaking against the motion that outsourcing essential skills to artificial intelligence threatens human development. So, before we delve into the topic, let's clearly delve into the topic of human capabilities. What is something that's clear about human capabilities till date? Human capability is something that never declines; it only expands. And let's talk about the word outsourcing. So, when we outsource the essential skills to AI, of course, some of my teammates went into the word essential skills. Now let's delve into the word of outsourcing. When we outsource essential skills to artificial intelligence, we outsource effort, not the intelligence per se. We are shifting ourselves from a point of execution to a point of judgment. Outsourcing essential skills to AI does not in any way make human skills disappear or diminish. We just evolutionize them in order to make high effort jobs much easier. Now let's take a retrospective study or retrospective perspective into this topic. So apart from all these points which makes opposing this motion a logically correct lead, let's actually do something interesting. So the topic of debate, outsourcing essential skills to artificial intelligence threatens development. Now let's look into the logical barriers that are already existing factually for human development. Firstly, educational inequality and education system. Artificial intelligence in itself, with its advent, confirms that educational inequality and the educational system is obviously, the word inequality in itself is ruled out with the advent of artificial intelligence. And not only that, it also eliminates another important barrier, economic constraints. And let's come to another very, very important barrier to human development, geographic isolation. With AI, a globally united learning ecosystem comes within our reach and eliminates yet another important barrier, language and communication. We can go on listing any number of barriers that AI eliminates, which will only bring us to a solid, logically correct, but yet already known conclusion. AI never threatens, it only potentiates human development. And I have retrospectively shown how it does. It is high time we shift ourselves from thinking that how AI makes us lose our skills to how people who never had the chance to do so develop new skills, get new opportunities. Unlocking new human potentials and replacing the existing ones are not the same thing. They are two opposite sides of spectrum that I would like to emphasize in this debate forum. The printing press did not destroy memory, and as one of my teammates rightly said, calculators did not destroy mathematics. Machines did not end industries. This, respected judges, is a full-blown proof that skill evolution, not replacement, is what's happening with the advent of AI.